Welcome to today's lesson. We are going to be discussing the houses in astrology and what all 12 houses mean. Super excited to get into this because I love talking about the houses. I could honestly spend hours talking about just one house in general and everything that it means, but we're not going to do all that today. We're going to give you a quick rundown though, so that we have a very general understanding of each house. So, what are the houses? Well, in our movie metaphor, if the planets are the characters and the signs are the costumes and personalities and acting styles of those characters, the houses would be the settings. It would be the stage and the scenes that the story is taking place. Essentially, that each house will represent a different area of life, and nothing really exists outside of these areas. Every single thing that you can think of, we could probably put it into a house, which when I first heard that, it blew my mind. But it's true. Like, you have just a quick rundown. First house is self. Second house is your, finances, how you generate resources for yourself. Third house is your communication style. Fourth house is your home. Fifth house is your pleasures, your passions. Sixth house is the things that you do every day, what you're here to master. Seventh house is your one-on-one connections. Eighth house is your deep, intimate bonds. Ninth house is what you're learning, your education, how you expand your mind and go beyond your comfort zones. 10th house is your career. 11th house is your collective, your communities. The 12th house is who you are when no one else is in the room. The houses tell us what area of life is experiencing the energies of the planets. So, another important part of the wheel, and something you may notice, is the angles. So, these aren't technically houses. These are four important points of the chart. And in our movie metaphor, these four major points would represent four major camera positions that sort of frame this entire film. These represent four major turning points of the stage itself, of the story itself. The word angle literally refers to four specific points where the sky intersects with the earth at the moment you were born. Imagine you sort of like standing outside at the exact moment you were born, and there are four directions that really matter: east, west, north, south, right? As above, so low, as within, so without on a spiritual plane. And these 4 points create four major quadrants and create the foundation upon which the houses are built. And you have your 4 points here. You have the AC, which is your ascendant, the DC, which is your descendant, the MC, which is your midheaven, and the IC, which is the Iman Coli. Now let's get into the meaning of each house. So first we have the first house. The first house is really important. It sort of lays the foundation for the rest of the chart. Its natural sign is Aries, natural planet will then be Mars, but this is sort of how everything enters your life. This is how you sort of enter news stories. Everything kind of starts with the first house. And this is the moment where people see you first. So like your ascendant sign is sort of like when you walk into the room, what is your first impression, was your first immediate aura? And then people get into your sun sign and they see your personality. They get into your moon sign and then they see like the deeper parts of you. And the ascendant can kind of show how do you move to the world, at least from the world's perspective, right? It's a camera angle. It's how people can look into you. How do people look at you? Well, they do that through your ascendant sign. The first house is also where the ascendant is. It's also an angular house. And so it can show us how, people view us when they first sort of come in contact with us in a closer space. This energy shows how do you put yourself forward? How do you translate your own inner expression, your own psyche into the world? How do you express your own nature? If this were like a video game, this would kind of be like what your skin would be. And the first house is important to study when it comes to self-actualizing, when it comes to being fully yourself. Study the planets in there and the sign that is ruling your first house. Okay, next we get into the second house. The second house is almost like your treasure chest. This is your resources. This is what you've accumulated, what you build. What are you protecting? What do you value? What do you possess? The first house is how we develop confidence through learning. Also, what do you sustain? What do you rely on? It reveals what you deem important enough to keep and own and preserve over time. The third house This is connected to communication, your language. How do you perceive reality? How do you like to learn? What's your thought process like? What's your nervous system like? It represents the act of language and how thought shapes language, how languages shape perception, how perception shapes reality. The third house also reminds us that words are spells. The things that we say out loud can come true, and it can kind of show you what kind of power does your voice hold? What impact does it make? What kind of stories do you tell yourself? The fourth house, this is your home, your family, your private life. Who are you when the cameras stop rolling? And the people who see this, right, are the people who live with you. So they would kind of be your camera angles here. So if you want to know more about your fourth house and how you're kind of being perceived on that more like at home personal level, like ask people around you what do they think about you? What do they see? How do you act different in the home versus when you step outside? The fourth house is our roots and our ancestry. I would examine this house if you're someone who's trying to like break generational curses or you want to connect more with your roots or your family. Fourth house is a great place to start. It also shows kind of your emotions. How do you manage them? What do you do with them? What kind of emotions tend to arise naturally? Do you feel safe enough to be vulnerable? Do you feel connected to your inner world? Was there a parent that was curious about your inner world and probed it and mimicked it to you and mirrored it to you? You can see all that by studying the fourth house. The fifth house is a fun house. This is a creative house. This is the house of expressing something that doesn't exist. It's like taking something within you and putting it out. This is why it's also connected to birthing and children. But this is a house of romance, art, joy, play, pleasure, creativity, performance, self-expression. This is where you could see what seduces you, like what has you weak in the knees? What has you caving? What's your inner child like? What did your inner child go through? This is great if you're trying to do some inner child healing to study this house. Anytime you feel disconnected with fun and with the zest of life, you can come back and examine this house. The sixth house, this is the workshop, okay? This is where your talent becomes mastery. This shows what do you like to do every day? What kind of skill are you down to develop every single day? This house represents service, discipline, roots, your health, and your expertise, and it governs what is required of you on a daily level to support yourself and to contribute something meaningful to the world. Then we have the seventh house. So this is kind of like your co-stars, okay? This is the house that represents partnership of every kind, marriage, business, close friendships, collaborations. This is how you meet another person. This is also an angular house, so it can show how people in those one-on-one connections like view you, like how do they see you? What do they come to you for? And this is where like your life story becomes relational. This is where you're also showing up in a part of other people's lives. So this could be like karmically, why do you pop up in other people's lives? I would look at the seventh house for that. Why do people pop up in your life? Again, I'd look at the seventh house for that. What is being mirrored to you about yourself through other people? You can see that in the seventh house. This shows how do you compromise? How do you relate to another being? How are you in relationships? Then we have the eighth house, the underworld, the spooky house of the taboo, the house of what's hidden, what's secret. Every great story needs that. Every great story needs a descent into the underworld. This is yours. Look at the eighth house. That is what your descent looks like. Everybody's got an eighth house. But the eighth house governs like death, rebirth, intimacy, psychological depth, transformation, spiritual bonds, shared resources, taboo subjects. It's a funky house. It's a funky house. It's where all the unconscious material lives, whereas the 12th house is more of the subconscious material. This is like the part of ourselves where we cannot access this through logic alone. Like we use our intuition, we use our psychic abilities. People who have 8th house, planets like Sun, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, even tend to have psychic abilities. If you're ever in like a rebirth era, look at what's going on in the 8th house. Then we have the ninth house. This is your quest. This is when the hero leaves the home and their journey begins, and you start to explore. You question your philosophies. You get into spirituality. You're looking for wisdom, education, teaching. It asks, what does life mean? What do you want to do with your life? What are you like when you go beyond your comfort zones? Are you even down to go beyond your comfort zones? That's all can be revealed in the ninth house. This is how you expand your understanding of reality through lived experience. Then we have the 10th house. And I always say the 10th house is like the movie poster. It's like the ad on the TikTok. This is how people are seeing you, right? This is another angular house. So this is how people see you, but they're more so seeing you through a professional level, through like a more mass public level. So, whereas the first house is how people see you when you walk into a room, the fourth house is how people see you when you're at home, the seventh house is how your one-on-one connections see you. The 10th house is more like how does the public see you? So it's connected to career, your mission, your status, your responsibility, your legacy. How do you contribute to the collective? How do you make an impact so large that it continues to make an impact even when you leave this earth? What is your purpose? And how do you not drift too far from it? What always nudges you back to the work that you came here to do? All that can be seen by examining the 10th house. Okay, next we have our 11th house. This is the audience, this is the community. This is where you touch the collective. And how do you touch the collective? How do you impact people on the masses? The 11th house governs your friendships, your communities, social networks, audiences, hopes, wishes, future visions. This is where you discover your place in the large, big world. This is how you contribute something bigger. This is how you collaborate with other people. And lastly, we have the 12th house. This is life beyond the screen. This is life when the cameras are off. This is like the invisible story that's going on, but we can all feel it. We can all sense it. The 12th house governs your dreams, your spirituality, solitude, meditation, unconscious patterns. And how do you transcend those unconscious patterns? This house kind of represents the bridge between the inner world and the outer world, the physical world and the spiritual world. The 12th house reminds us that there is more to life than what can be seen. Okay, because life can also be sensed, it can also be felt, it can also be imagined. So that was our quick rundown through the houses. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was a good introduction. Don't forget to follow me because I'll probably do deeper dives like later down the line. And don't forget to share with anyone else who would like to get into astrology and start learning astrology. I will see you next week. We will start learning about the aspects.